My first question is, Jesse Jackson helped implement the classification of African American to create a distinctive, specific category for blacks in America. The ADOS movement helped expose the fallacies with that, particularly the classification. In your own words, can you tell the listeners the reason why using the term African American is not specific for our lineage claim?
Sure. Thank you for that question. It's a great question, and you're absolutely right. And the answer is because that's not what the government says. If you look on the census, there's a specific definition of Black or African American, and it is not that definition which Jesse Jackson talked about. The government, where it matters, the people who are measuring, because that's how dollars and cents get moved and get allocated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those people say that African American or Black is a certain thing, and they say it's somewhat. I'm going to paraphrase it here, but you can look it up on your own time. That Black or African American, any person with ancestry in any of the Black racial groups in Africa. Okay, Now that is clearly not what Jesse Jackson was talking about. Jesse Jackson was talking about, and what you just said, was a specific group of people, maybe one group of those people, but not all of them. Okay,
right.
So that's why one of the first demands of the ADOS movement on the ADOS national agenda, ADOS101.com, is for our own category on the census, the ADOS category.
Gotcha.
That's why we want it. So yeah.
Okay, so we both agree that there are even white people who are born in places like South Africa who can become an American citizen and be classified as African American and receive minority type of benefits that this country would not even give Black people who are born in this country. Am I correct?
I think technically you're correct, even though that person would have to self-identify as like that very white-skinned South African person.
Right.
And I actually met some of these people.
Right.
They would have to self-identify on a government form as African American and not white themselves. Okay?
Right. But the problem with that is that they pass as white, so they get benefits that comes to white people, but they could still take our they could still take any type of benefits that are pretty much allocated for us.
Intended for created for
the lineage of our people, right? Great. So
right, but take that even further, right? And so look at the second part of that first plank on the ADOS agenda. The first idea is to have our own category on the census. The second idea is to streamline programs like affirmative action, like these types of benefits that you're talking about, these set asides,
right?
Specifically for ADOS, so specifically for that category,
right?
And that not just the folks who that's going to be a small number of people, let's say, right? A smaller number of people who are like the white South African people, right? But there are some 10% of the population, of what you might call Black in America, that is Black immigrant. Okay.
Right.
Save
that part, man. My bad. Save that part, because we're going to get into that very shortly. We both agree that any classification categorizing a distinct group of people must be specific. And if it is not specific, then it will allow other groups to exploit that classification once resources are allocated to that specific group. Am I correct?
You're correct, and you also nullify, or at least make it harder for you to bring any legal justice claim for reparations or something, or anything like reparations or anything specific to your group. If you don't have a group, you don't define a group. As
exactly.
Yvette Carnell talked about, exclusion as much as it's inclusion.
Exactly. Yes. So, do we both agree that once a classification becomes a legal documentation, then it is very hard to change that classification, if possible at all, depending on the ability to galvanize people for that change, like in the case of the African American category, which is still being used until this day.
Yes, the answer is yes. But you can look at, for example, like what the president just did last month, right? Where with the Jewish category, right? Whereby, like the executive order, he recategorized, the Jewish group as a nationality, or into a nationality, or into something like that, right? He made some sort of change like that. So the answer to your question is yes.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah.
Right. So a correct classification plays a huge role with how reparations will get distributed. Am I correct?
Of course.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great. So this leads me into the details of the acronym of American Descendants of Slavery. Are you familiar with how becoming American works in this country?
Not sure what you mean by the question. Can you?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Are you familiar with the constitutional statement making anybody who was born in America an American citizen?
Yes, that's in the Constitution. If my memory of the Constitution serves me correctly, yes.
Correct.
And there's a couple of other categories too, right? A couple other caveats, right? If you can be a naturalized citizen, also,
exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you can get a green card or anything like that.
And you can get a birthright citizen.
Yeah. If you
right.
marry,
Yep.
you can marry in. Yes, there are other ways. Okay.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
So in the acronym ADOS, which stands for American Descendants of Slavery, which type of Americans are the acronym specifying?
Which type of Americans are the acronym specifying? The acronym is specifying American citizens of the United States of America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So dealing with the fact that there was a slavery movement that enslaved black people in other areas of the world outside of America, which type of slavery does the acronym specify?
Slavery in the United States of America by the United States of America.
Got you. So let's say that a Brazilian man was born in America, right? He is a second generation immigrant because his parents were born in Brazil. And let's say that he can trace his lineage back to the slavery institution of Brazil. How can you legally make a statement that states that he is not ADOS by using your acronym if American law says that anyone born in America becomes an American if he can trace his lineage back to the slave trade in Brazil? So basically what I'm trying to say is the ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, it doesn't specify which type of American and which type of slavery. So how can you tell this man that no, you're not ADOS, regardless of regardless of what the website states? And we both agree with the idea, but once it becomes a legal documentation, how can you tell this man that no, you're not ADOS if it becomes a legal classification?
Sure. So that person is an American. He's just not an American descendant of slavery. Okay, that's pretty simple.
Well, no, he
and
is.
It's not hard to understand. Let me answer the question. Let me answer the question.
Sure.
So, what it means to be an American descendant of slavery, and this is what we talk about. This is what we put in our orientations when we do our meetups and our trainings and our organizing work on the ground that's going on. And it's public on the website and on all that stuff too. The acronym ADOS means American Descendants of Slavery, right? And it's an acronym to represent people, Americans, American citizens whose ancestors were enslaved in the U.S. by the U.S.
Right.
So
I agree.
So that the Brazilian guy doesn't fit that.
But
just right there. It's pretty simple.
No. So I agree with the idea in what you just stated. What I'm saying is an acronym because he is an American and he is a descendant of slavery. Like it doesn't specify what type of slavery, because there were many slaveries, right? So
in the acronym, so you're saying in the acronym, you're saying the acronym doesn't specify
the acronym doesn't
which type of slavery by who, right? Or whom, right? Or
no,
which
government
is the culpable party?
Right, no. What I'm saying,
which is the culpable party?
No, what I'm saying is based on the acronym of American descendants of slavery. It specifies one type of person, American, not one type of American. It specifies American, and it specifies slavery. So anybody could say, I'm an American descendant of slavery. I agree with your idea.
No.
Wait. Hold up.
It's pretty simple, actually.
Let me finish. So we both agree with the idea, right? Me and you both agree with the idea of
you're
ADOS.
talking about the
what I'm talking about is specifically the actual acronym. If it becomes a legal classification, only the classification now, not talking about the idea. We both agree with that.
You mean the definition?
No. We agree with the definition, right? The definition. I'm talking about the specific acronym classification. It does not specify that.
So you're concerned not about the definition and what it actually means, but you're concerned about just the acronym itself. Just because the acronym is not maybe descriptive enough, right? Am I
right? Because if it becomes a legal classification,
that's not
right. Okay.
So like that's not. I don't think that's an unreasonable position to take. I wouldn't take that position though. I think it's pretty descriptive, based, and I think the definition, is very, very descriptive. And I think that's how it's communicated. So, but if you're talking about something that that would ultimately end up in some sort of legal classification, like for example, the bill that the ADOS Chicago team are running, right, in Chicago, and I forget the name of the bill, but it's a statewide bill that adds the classification American descendants of slavery, that language specifically, into the classification and how the state classifies groups. Okay, I think it's the first of a kind, actually, but that team is doing great work. So, for that is a legal classification, right? And so you're saying that, in something that may look like that, ultimately, you would want a more descriptive acronym. I don't think that's necessary, to be honest with you. Especially if the definition is so clear, I think it's actually not something that's why would it? Well, because the definition is so clear, right? Like if that Brazilian guy says, "Hey, why am I not ADOS?" and we say, "Well, ADOS means your ancestors were enslaved in the U.S. by the U.S." Oh, okay, great. And doesn't mean that he can't support what we're doing. Doesn't mean that we won't support their fight against their enslavers. We most of us, and have said, and I've said, 1,000 times, like, I support the fights of other groups in their claims against the governments that
I understand, right?
Their ancestors.
I understand what you're saying.
Quite a long time ago. So,
I understand what you're saying.
So I think it's pretty clear,
right? I mean, I don't think that we disagree with the definition, but you got to understand, sir, with all due respect, if it becomes a legal classification, and Antonio Moore, right, who is one of the leaders, who is a lawyer, he should really know this. But if it becomes the reason why contracts are so laid out, so, legitimately and precise, and sometimes it takes days to read through contracts.
I don't think it's a sign of imprecision.
No. Wait. Let me finish. Yeah. So, the reason why contracts are laid out and they're very precise, because on the streets, on an opinion level, yes, what you're saying is accurate. But if you get to legal, wait. I'm almost done. No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Yeah. Just like in the case I brought up African American, right? Because the definition, the classification of that wasn't specified specifically for us. Even though, yes, a white guy, he understands that he is an African American based on our ideas of it. but because it was specified enough, there are con artists who will use that. Now the legal doesn't mean
you don't need that. Yeah.
But based based on legalities, you don't. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It only matters what's legally occupied.
Right.
So in that space,
exactly.
ADOS,
exactly, yeah.
I think that we could pretty much agree that ADOS, because we already did agree that it isn't as specific as it should be. That is not specific.
No, we didn't agree to that. We didn't agree to that. No. I disagreed with that. I disagreed with that. I did not. I did not take that position.
Okay, so you think it's specific? Okay.
I think it's
specific
clear.
enough?
I think it's specific. I think it's an acronym. So it's there is some consideration for.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. All right. That's fine.
And also the definition is clear, and there are real life examples of this. We don't have to guess. We don't have to do the if, right? Look at the work that the Chicago team is doing. Look at that piece of legislation.
Okay.
Look at how we've sought to redefine the federal reparations legislation, HR 40. Look at how we, as a movement, have sought to redefine that language.
So let's agree to disagree there. Let's agree to disagree there because you only got so much time, right? Unless you could go longer. Till 5, and I got a lot of questions. So my next question is, you don't think that the term ADOS is too general? Okay, so my next question is,
not at all.
Do you think that the term blacks who descended from American slaves is more specific for our lineage claim, especially considering that there are many Americans who are classified and accepted as white who have some black ancestry from the slave trade, whether it is from American slavery or anywhere else?
If the question is, do I think that's more descriptive?
Yes.
No. I think absolutely not. I think once you start using color language, like black and that stuff, you immediately stab your claim in the heart. But that's what we're identified as black people.
We were identified as black.
Well, no. Right, but we are identifying as ADOS. You see, this is not a race claim. This is a lineage claim. Okay?
Gotcha.
This is so we're not what we're trying to do is as Yvette Carnot has said many times, is destroy the concept of whiteness as we know it. Okay, this is a serious claim. Okay,
gotcha.
And it's potent, okay? And it's working. Right. So do I think that this descriptive is better? No, because you immediately, once you bring back in the U.S. version of race, which is black, white, brown, right? Then you immediately hurt your claim because you're not making a racial claim, right? Because when you open that door, then you open the door to, folks who are not people whose ancestors were enslaved in the U.S. Then you open the door to the Brazilian guy, because the Brazilian guy you were talking about might say, I'm American, and he might be very dark skinned. I'm also a black American. I'm from Brazil. I got African ancestry.
But that's not.
I'm also a black American.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. That when you say blacks who descended from American slaves, you're specifying American slaves. So that Brazilian guy cannot say, no, I'm Brazilian. Look, he could do that with ADOS, but he cannot do that with blacks who descended from American slaves, because it's specified which type of slaves, right? And then with the black part, we got to be honest, sir. We live in a system of white supremacy, and we do not run this nation as of yet. So if ADOS becomes that doesn't mean I'm almost done, sir. I'm almost done. If with blacks who descended from American slaves, if that become a classification with white supremacy running it right now, then by law they would still have to distribute the resources based on the black people who we are classified as, who descended from American slaves. There's only one group of people in America who fit that category. Can we both agree that there are only one group of people in America that descended from that? Okay, that's fine. My next question. Okay, that's fine. My next question is, do you think that it is important that we support Black agenda priority candidates?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Great,
yes,
great.
100%.
And
working on that now, actually. Yep.
Got you. Can you explain to us the ADOS down ballot strategy, and do you agree with it?
So I think the last part first, yes, I agree with it.
Okay.
And then to explain the strategy, so it is a strategy it is an attempt to leverage the collective voice and vote of the ADOS movement and ADOS around the country to do a couple of things. One, to influence the political process, the electoral political process, specifically the 2020 election cycle nationally, from the point of the opening of primaries, which was, we call it last year this time-ish, right, to up until through the Democratic Party primary, from the Democratic Party, up until the end of the Democratic Party primary, until the Democratic convention in the summer. And then from the convention, when there's a nominee to the general election in November, to influence the political process electorally all along this process, and to disrupt it and to work to bend it and force it toward the ADOS national agenda, toward addressing the ADOS national agenda, and also the resurgence of independent Black political organizing, right, and the growth and development of independent Black political organizing. So what it does is it's pretty simple to understand, right? The language is clear. If the Democratic Party's presidential candidates or the Republican Party's presidential candidates do not produce, deliver, or adhere to the ADOS national agenda or a Black agenda, supportive of reparations for ADOS based on the principles that the ADOS movement has been supportive of, in large part, outlined by Dr. William Sandy Darity in his testimony to Congress last year on Juneteenth. His written testimony, he couldn't testify in person, but he submitted written testimony. He has 6 principles that any reparations plan should adhere to, and so far, at least a lot of us have been supportive of that. So
right.
That's what we're looking for, right? And if presidential candidates at the national level do not either support that or create something like that, then we are prepared to show up to the polls and vote down ballot, meaning we're going to either write in ADOS for the top of the ticket, right, for the presidential candidates, or leave it blank, right, and then we're going to go down our ballots and do it to the down ballot races, meaning the races that are below the presidency, right? So you can go Congress, you can go state senator, you can go governor, you can go state assembly, you can go county officials, city council, you can go DA, sheriff, judges, school board. We have a bunch of mayor, right? We have a mayoral race coming up here in Sacramento. Also, we have you have races and issue ballots, ballot measures themselves, and we've got 2 ballot measures actually here in Sacramento that we're considering right now. I actually have endorsement meetings for some of these measures in a couple hours, actually, starting around 6 o'clock, and we're going to be looking at 2 ballot measures that are up. One is to require the city of Sacramento to put at least 2.5% of its general fund budget to youth-based programs, or not. Right, okay. It's a yes or no, right? And then we have one to set up some bonding funding for schools. Okay,
gotcha.
We have so we're going to go down the list, and we're going to make choices depending on whether or not candidates themselves have a Black agenda,
right?
or are supporting our ADOS community locally. Right. And we're going to be, at the same time, working to develop our own candidates and groom our own candidates for this for this fight.
There we
and
go.
we're going to be going into those which we are doing. There are about 6 or 7, between 7 to 10 actually ADOS candidates running right now, okay, nationwide. Okay? From the highest office is running for Senate in Georgia, which is Tamara Johnson-Shealy. In Georgia, I think it's the 6th district, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong.
Right.
Okay.
So basically, you have candidates that you are running. You have an agenda. However, you're going to skip over the presidential box. So that leads me to my next question. There are over 1,000 presidential candidates running right now. Don't you think that every single presidential candidate that's running should be researched as much as possible by the ADOS chapters?
Hell yeah.
Before the down well, hold up. Before the down ballot strategy is implemented?
No, not before the down ballot strategy is implemented. No.
Well. My bad. Let me rephrase that. What I mean by before skipping over the presidential space.
No.
Okay.
No, you don't need to do that. No, you don't need to do that. No. Like we know we already know who's on our ballot. The fact of the matter is we aren't waiting until the election season happens to know about who's going and who's running.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are 1,000 presidential candidates running right now. Who's running?
Yeah. Okay.
Are you familiar with all of them? Because if you say, okay, we're going to skip over the presidential space and we're going to put ADOS or whatever, right? That means if you do not know every single candidate that's running and if they have a reparation strategy for our people, you will be skipping over people who may be legitimate, who we could get behind. And maybe
it's those people's job. Listen, it's they're politicians. It's their job to get their agenda in front of me. Okay. Yeah. First of all. Second of all, we do as much research. Trust me. Like I work in legislative tracking, in information about what's moving in terms of local politics. So it is, first of all, it's almost impossible to do all the research with all the information that's out there, okay? Like, let's just be completely honest, right? There's so much information out there, right, that if you're saying that you have to do 100% of all the research, first of all, that would be not the most optimal way to manage.
We're talking about the presidential. We're talking about the highest. Wait. We're talking about the highest position of elected officials, probably in the world. You mean to tell me that it isn't feasible to research every single candidate? It may take 8 hours. It may take 8 weeks, but you don't think you don't think that it's important.
Tremendous amount of research on every single presidential candidate that we find and that we can. We do as much as we can.
Got you.
And to be honest, it is also the job of you as a politician. What is politics? Get your ass out and get me that agenda. We're all over social media.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
Twitter.
I'm glad you said that because that leads to my next question. Are you really familiar with DMLG, which is an acronym for Defense Money Land Grant, which is a very precise reparations package created from a presidential candidate?
No. Not at all.
So if you Google Deon D. Jenkins, you will find a presidential candidate with the precise reparation. Hip Hop Weekly wrote about him. The Source wrote about him. He was hold up. He DJ K Slay because he's a grassroots hip hop organizer.
Right on. Shout out to K Slay. I'm from New York.
He had an interview on Shade 45, and he laid out his.
Okay, nice.
You know, he freestyled and everything.
I think I heard about this before. I think I heard about this before.
Yeah. So my next question is, the ADOS founders, not you. The ADOS founders have a reputation for being very unsupportive towards black people with ideas of dismantling white supremacy. Do you think?
They don't.
Wait.
No,
I'm not done with the question.
That's a loaded question.
Do you think that it is?
Loaded.
Do you think that it is unethical for them to tell their followers to down ballot the presidential box when there's a black agenda priority candidate running with a very precise reparations package?
I reject the premise of the question. That's an unfair question, to be honest. That's a disservice to your listeners, right? That question is complete. That's a biased question.
Okay.
Like, even if you agree with it,
we'll skip over that.
No.
We'll skip over it.
I want to answer it. No.
Okay.
I want to answer it.
Cool.
But I want to say that it is even if you agree with that position, it's obviously a point of view.
Okay.
Right? It's not like a fair question. Right?
You're right.
So to say that they have a reputation,
you're absolutely right.
For
you're right.
not wanting to fight. I mean, what kind of what does that say to people about me?
That's an opinion. Right? You're right. That's an opinion. That's an opinion.
Now,
so
we got to be careful with that, right? Because that reflects on like me personally too. Like I'm literally like out in the streets, like working and organizing, right? Like that's where I was yesterday.
Okay.
Right. So like you have to be careful with that kind of right to say that we have that Yvette and Tone have a reputation for wanting to not supporting groups that are fighting against white supremacy, right? That's not true, and it's biased. The only thing I'll say is, it's the job of that presidential candidate, whoever that person is, and the job of any politician, and this is what I would counsel any candidate that I talk to. That
candidate is me, sir. That candidate is me. I'm the candidate.
Well, then it's your job, sir. Well, then it's your job.
I'm the candidate.
First of all, you should have said that to begin with. Okay.
I didn't want to say that because I didn't want you to have any preconceived I didn't want you to have any preconceived notion because I did reach out to Yvette Cornell and Antonia Moore. Right I was denied to come to the ADOS movement. I mean, I was denied access to black people at the ADOS summit, right? The conference.
At the conference? What do you
yes.
mean? You mean you were? What do you mean? You were denied black people? I was there.
I know personally for a fact that I emailed the co-founders of ADOS. Okay, I've emailed a lot of people. Some said like DJ K Slay. He said, man, come on, but I did not get any answer back from Yvette Cornell or Antonia Moore. As a matter of fact, Antonia Moore blocked me on Twitter.
Okay.
He blocked me on Twitter. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying the reason why I mentioned that is because you're talking to a black agenda priority candidate. I first ran in 2015. Wait. I first ran in 2015. Let's now look. I just want to say this: we're on the same team. Okay, I don't have any hostility.
For sure.
I don't have any hostility.
For sure.
This is not.
Okay.
Trust me. So,
brother, listen.
And I support. This is only constructive intellectual criticism, in the attempt that we can make the movement stronger. All right. So please don't take this as disrespect or I'm trying to. This is not that. I support what you guys are doing as far as the movement, but there is some.
You're a part of the movement.
Right, exactly. So I ran in 2015 as a grassroots hip hop organizer. The first time I ran, I'm a regular person just like you. Anybody could run for president. I got into that space because I saw that there was no voice for our people in that space at that time. At that time when Yvette Cornell was backing Bernie Sanders, and I remember that. There were a lot of people who were backing Bernie Sanders. I was the only one in the media talking against Bernie Sanders, saying, no, do not trust this guy. Do not vote for him. Okay, we need black agenda candidates before ADOS ever took off, before the down ballot strategy. So you're talking to a real one. All right. Now, I've been out here. This is not nothing that I just conjured up and said, this is a way for me to get votes. No, I can't get votes talking about a black agenda. Everybody tell me to stop talking about a black agenda. So I'm not coming from a place of a guy who don't know what I'm talking about. I'm coming from a place of real experience. Okay, so I ran the first time in 2015 as a grassroots hip hop organizer, and I am a Democratic candidate. And if you just do a quick Google search, Deon D. Jenkins, you'll see articles, you'll see a lot of stuff on me. So the fact, what I'm saying, the reason why I asked that question that you say is biased, because maybe to you they are supportive, but are we for reparations, or are we for personal feelings or personal, that's what I don't understand. So my next question is,
that's my question to you. I mean, what is this about? Like, right. I cannot speak to the fact that they didn't return your email.
I know. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I asked you a question. No. That's not what I said, sir. I asked you a question based on their reputation of not being supportive to people. And you said that's not true. That's not true. Okay, but it is. But okay, and it is based on opinion. That is based on opinion. But are you saying that you were denied entry to the ADOS? No. I was not invited to the ADOS conference. That's what I'm saying.
Everybody, what do you mean? Everybody was invited to the ADOS.
No. Marion Williamson, Marion Williamson was invited. Marion Williamson was invited. Bernie Sanders was invited. Not Hillary Clinton.
Do you have a campaign manager?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
He reached out to them too. He got blocked by them as well.
Did the campaign manager tell you to show up anyway?
That's not how. That's not how it works. That's not. No. That's not how it works. Okay, so you're telling me. Wait. You're telling me. You're telling me as an ADOS. My bad. Look. No. You're telling me that as an ADOS representative, you would invite Marion Williamson, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and anybody else over a legitimate black lineage candidate. Is that what you're telling me? And you think so? I get backdoor treatment.
Let me answer. Okay. Let me answer. So I'm not. There is no ADOS organization. I am not a representative of an ADOS organization. I am here first and foremost. I should have said it in the beginning as a soldier in the movement. I am here as someone who believes in justice and is fighting for freedom and reparations.
Great answer.
For the ADOS movement. Let me just say that first of all.
Great answer.
Second of all, you're saying that you weren't invited. What I'm saying to you is, what I would have told you is that, so what? You go campaign. If that's where, if you're trying to talk to black folks and you're trying to talk to ADOS, then you go to the conference. And it's not like you go and jump on stage, right? But you go and you campaign. You go and see. Now, if you would have came to the conference, I would have saw you, right? We would have talked, right? Then you would have came to the Airbnb with us afterwards, where there was a whole bunch of organizing going on, right? You would have been able to talk to the grassroots organizers. You would have been able to talk to the actual people who are actually doing campaign work for the movement, supporting candidates, vetting candidates, pushing up candidates. Okay. So
I didn't want to support a conference that I reached out to the people who throw in the conference, and they invited everybody. They invited every white politician who did not have a reparations package and did not invite me and get blocked. And I got blocked. And I got blocked by Antonio Moore. Okay, I got blocked by Antonio Moore. Okay, so yeah, that's cool. So my next question. You may. That's not your beat. Yeah, that's not your issue. Right, that's not your issue. Okay, so
I think, but I am serious. If you would have came to the conference, we would have had this conversation 6 months ago.
Right.
Okay.
But you are implementing a down ballot strategy that's skipping over the presidential box, right? If you would have conducted research as well, right? Because I did my job. I got in many media entities, in publications. I've even wrote an article in Hip Hop Weekly. I have access to the media. So it's your job as well, because there is some accountability, because you are running the head of the ADOS. I mean, you are the head of the ADOS chapter in Sacramento. So there is some type of accountability for that. Huh?
I am not the head of the ADOS chapter in Sacramento.
I thought you were. My bad. I'm sorry.
That's all right. There is no head.
Got you.
I'm one of the folks who started it, and
right. So you're the leader. Yeah. You're the leader.
No, well, I am one of the leaders. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there is some accountability, and like I said, man, this is only to raise more awareness of a few fallacies, sure. And that's all I'm doing. So, do you think that it is healthy that the reparations movement is so divided the way it is?
That's to be determined. I'm not sure, but I'm not so opposed to division. I don't think. I try to see myself as someone who is a realist, who lives in the real world. There are divisions naturally, and a division that should happen. There are divisions, that are healthy too. So, and if you're talking about the reparations movement, I think for a long time it's been failing. Okay, and I think now we have more chance of success than we've had in my lifetime. Let's say, and I'm not, I'm technically a millennial. Okay, right. But at least in my lifetime, we are having momentum. Excuse me.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
I agree with that.
And
I agree with that.
Some of the divisions are so necessary, right? So for example, right? If you have
not amongst your own people, not amongst your own people.
Yes, absolutely.
No, it's not.
Listen. Absolutely.
Okay.
Some of the divisions are healthy as hell. For example, right? For example, you have one argument for reparations that says that all black folks who are in the U.S. who are descendants of slavery from somewhere in the world should get reparations from the U.S. government. Okay, mm-hmm. And then you have the ADOS, the ADOS argument for reparations, which says that only those of us whose ancestors were enslaved in the U.S. by the U.S. And who have this lineage should get reparations from the U.S. government. And at the bare minimum, we have the right to make that claim for our group independently.
I got you.
Okay. So yeah. Let me stop this because I know we're getting short on time.
Yeah. I only got a few more questions. Do you think that it is counterintuitive for rifts to be formed amongst people who want reparations based on a few personal beefs amongst YouTube commentators?
I mean, yeah, if you let it get to you like that. I mean, this is not really what people are talking to me about in the community. Like, nobody's talking about this like this. Like, I mean, really, I mean, if you're focused on it, I guess, yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Okay. So we agree that it is counterintuitive. Okay, so
no, we don't. I don't know that it's counterintuitive because I don't see this. Like, I don't see what.
It's huge, bro. We can't ignore that there is a huge rift amongst black people who follow certain individuals regarding, reparations. They both believe in reparations, but a few commentators are going at each other's heads, and it's causing infighting within the group. We cannot ignore that.
Some of those, I think some of that's like from the last question. Some of that's healthy as hell.
And COINTELPRO, and no, it's not. COINTELPRO is going to exploit that, by the way, because that's what they do.
That's a prediction.
No, that's what they do.
I'm gonna continue to work my ass off to make sure that doesn't happen. And if you think that that's a real problem and threat, then I invite you to start working to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, I do that every day, sir. That's why I'm out here in the streets.
Thank you.
I've reached out to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't agree with the acronym and all of that, but I'm reaching out to you. I'm talking to you, and this is an attempt to try to build something as well. So the next question is, considering the fact that we are only going to get one shot at reparations, and whoever becomes the president that implement a reparations package for us is pretty much going to be in charge of direct policy affecting our American birthright. Do you trust Marianne Williamson with this birthright?
I don't agree with the premise of the question that we get one shot. I think we've been shooting our shot for a long time, since Callie House and before, right? I think that I also don't agree with the fact with the suggestion that the federal executive, meaning the president, him or herself, is going to be in direct, exclusive control.
I didn't say that. I didn't say exclusive control. I said direct in charge.
Okay, so let me
direct policy.
Right. So in charge of direct policy, I don't agree with that's necessarily the case. And then I don't know why Marianne Williamson is relevant. She's not in the race for president. I never supported her campaign. In any way other than the fact that I thought it was great that she was talking about reparations because she was being forced to by us on the debate stage. Okay, that's the and she was in part a vehicle and is in part a vehicle to build momentum and continue the momentum that we have.
Okay, great. So she was being used as a vehicle to get the reparations statements out there, but you don't really take her seriously as the president who will be in charge of a reparations package. The president is going to institute
no, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. It depends on what type of package ultimately becomes real and how it became real. So, for example, the
president will have to sign off on it, sir, or make an executive order. That's fact. That's not based on
the president
opinion,
would have to. The president would have to sign what?
Legislation. That's
voted. Thank you. And legislation doesn't come from the president, though.
But he still have to sign off on it. So if Congress, if we don't have enough ADOS people in Congress, which I agree with half of your down ballot strategy, fine, create your own candidates. You're on the right track. But if you have too many of these white folks in Congress and not us, right? Not people from our own lineage. They're not going to never pass a bill for reparations. And even if they did, let me finish, sir. Let me finish. So no, because this is a country of white supremacy, just like the HR 40 bill. Just like that. But you got to care because white supremacy is implemented in this country, and nobody
who's a black agenda with reparations.
Why would a racist white person? No, never in the history of the world have there ever been white people who created legislation specifically for our reparations, liberation that will make us equal with white folks. And outside of I'm almost done. Outside of the 14th Amendment, which was a constitutional establishment, but because we don't have the enforcement, so basically just like the HR 40 bill, Congress will write a bill just to quiet you up, and then pass it, and then they will pass it to the president to sign it. And if it's not a legitimate package, they're going to say to you,
1989 that hasn't moved. I mean,
right? But that's only, it's only a study. It's only a study.
Yeah. Right on. And that's something that that we have something to say. about it too. The ADOS position is that HR 40 be completely rewritten. completely rewritten and rewritten to fit the ADOS case for reparations, which means that it goes specifically to ADOS, that it is a multi-trillion-dollar, multi-generational portfolio of different types of initiatives, including and necessarily financial compensation, specifically for ADOS, and inclusive of land, and inclusive of wealth, and inclusive of property and business and ownership and industry, okay, and inclusive of, protected class status, right, and inclusive of all the other things that we need as a people to repair what we're fighting against now and what we're suffering now. Okay? So that's that.
And I'm saying, the only thing I'm saying is that the president of the United States of America will be the highest elected official who will make that happen.
No.
Why not?
That is, again, that depends on what type of package or what type of reparations could be real and how that thing became real. So, for example, if we take HR 40, for example, right now, HR 40 says what? That the president gets how many picks of that commission? How many? Do you remember?
No, I read it 3 times though, but it's in the back of my.
I think it's like 2 or 3, right? Or 2,
something
right?
like
Or
that.
1, maybe 1. I think it's 1, right? So if the president gets 1, I think the Senate Majority Leader, I think, gets 1, and then the Congress, and then the Dems get 6,
sir,
and the Republicans get 6.
That's
right?
not what
Something
I'm
like
arguing,
that,
sir.
Right? No.
I'm arguing the sign of legislation.
I'm saying
who's
that
going to sign it into law?
Right?
Who's going to sign it into law?
The president can sign it or veto
Exactly.
it.
So the president.
And that veto can be overridden.
The president can sign it or veto it. Okay, so that's what it's
not the
about.
final say, though. But that's not the final say, and that's not the important question. The important question is when the president signs something, right? Then what happens with what he signed, and how involved is that person with what he signed, right? And that was what you said. Right? You're saying that the president is going to be in charge and in control of it. Right?
No.
Right? And
what
that
I'm
means
saying
that
is no. Let me restate my question. All right. I said that considering the fact that we are only going to get one shot at reparations, and whoever becomes the president that implement a reparations package for us is pretty much going to be in charge of direct policy affecting our birthright. So basically, whoever signs that legislation is in charge of the policy that's going to happen.
Okay.
Because he's going to sign it.
I'm saying that's wrong.
Whoever
signs I'm saying that's wrong. Yeah, he's going to sign it, but that doesn't mean control in charge of.
But no. Okay.
That's a step in the process.
Okay.
That's one step in the process.
The president.
And that's what I'm saying.
The president makes it happen. Do we both agree that the president makes it happen?
The president needs to sign any reparations legislation.
We both agree with that, right?
But Congress needs to open the damn Treasury to let the money out.
And he don't even need Congress. He could make an executive order. Okay.
To do what? Not open up the Treasury, not for the type of money that we're talking about. No. That's unconstitutional.
No, well, I mean, it depends. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. It's not. The president of the United States cannot open up the Treasury for $12 trillion.
The Treasury. He creates. It's okay. Not. First of all, it's more than $12 trillion. It's $30 trillion, and based on that's just the lump sum, right? And according to my package, defense money, land grants, the cash part. So I state that there are 4 elements of reparations. It's based on the 4 elements of American society, which are defensive structure, capital, land, and having the access to capital. Those are the 4 elements. The cash money part, first of all, we built this. Wait. We built this nation. We built this nation. Compensation never stops. So you get 2 checks. You get 1 lump sum, and you get an ongoing check every year. because the country never stops, right? Yeah, they owe you for the building of this economy.
Okay.
All right.
Listen,
So,
okay.
all right. So we agree with that.
Great.
we agree with that. So
Okay.
yeah, man.
I actually have to go.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to continue the conversation. Okay?
Right.
So if you want to continue tomorrow, I'm happy to do it. I'll have probably about an hour tomorrow that I can spare. Later in the week it'll be tougher, but I can try. I can try to make it happen. It's not next weekend.
Yeah,
send me your literature. Right. I'm already looking at your website. So send me your literature. Okay.
Let's do next weekend. Let's do next weekend.
Okay.
Is that fine? Like Saturday.
Okay. And in the meantime, you better start reaching out to some of the organizers where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like reach out to the organizers where you are. Okay.
I'm in the Bay Area.
Like. Okay. Then
so I reached out to you, right?
Bay Area meetup.
I reached out to you.
Okay. So the next ADOS Bay Area meetup. So first of all, I'm coming down to the Bay Area on Wednesday. Okay. For Pan African panel. Okay. Then the Bay Area team is going to meet on March 15th on Sunday, okay, at the 81st Avenue Library in Oakland. Okay, so talk to the local team. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Trust me, I'm out here. You know, I'm doing my thing. You know, we might have different ways of how to go about it, but definitely trust me, I'm out here. Trying to make it happen. As a matter of fact, if you just Google my name, as a matter of fact,
you need 30 seconds. I'm closing up this last meeting.
Yeah. Let me close this up. You know, as a matter of fact, if you just Google my name, you can see that, you know, I'm putting in work. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm already on your website, fam.
Right.
Now, I'm obviously gonna talk to other organizers and tell them that you called me, right? But and that we did this interview. But definitely talk to the local team and send me a text and let's set it up for next weekend. Got you,
All right, man. All right, man. You take it easy, man. Bye.
Man, great conversation, man.
Yes, it is, and much needed imperative conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, let's make it happen, man. Let's make reparations happen. All right. All right, so that was my interview with the head of the Sacramento chapter. All right, I'm out. Oh, my bad. This is presidential candidate DeonDJenkins with another broadcast. I interviewed Chris from the Sacramento chapter, the ADOS Sacramento chapter. It was a good interview. I'm glad that we had this interview, and we're going to establish a part 2 with this interview as well. All right, I'm out.